He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here afterwards. You have to be kidding me. Fireworks. And here you go. All right, everybody, welcome on and welcome all into High and Tight, the show that's all about what's going on in high school, college, and professional baseball, all in the state of Iowa. It's all with an Iowa twist, and it's all for you. And thanks for joining in, everybody. I'm Andrew Brown, the host of the show, helping you through what will be a fun time here today. If you're not sure how this show works or haven't seen it before, it's all about highlighting Iowa, and we're in the high school season, so there's a lot of high school stuff going on here. But any news across, we definitely want to touch that up and beyond. I start off with my highlights, and then, of course, I move on to our player/performance of the week. I give them all, and then the winner. Your votes help to go a long way with that. And then some amazing things seen this week, some really cool highlight videos. A lot of them are just tanks that are sent over the fence, and we have a lot of fun with that. But then, of course, cool conversation. We get the chance to talk with Waukee's very own Will Biggs, the number one prospect in the 2028 class. He got the chance to join us, and we got the chance to talk with him about his journey, including his most recent trip to Arizona to take on a perfect game event there at Chase Field. So a lot of cool stuff going on and a lot of really cool events that he has been a part of. We get the chance to talk to how he manages all of that and more, his dedication to Waukee, and how the season is going so far for the Warriors. So a lot in store and a lot to get to. But first and foremost, got to give a shout out here as there were some conference champs held. And again, if we missed any, please let us know. We'd love to make sure we get as much as possible. But I mentioned a team a little while back that I've been very high on, and that's the Regals of Regina Catholic. And they have since captured a conference title. They fight back from a 9-0 deficit to take Mid-Prairie 11-10. Really wish I was a part of that game. And then in the end, they sweep the doubleheader. They're your 2025 RVC South Conference champions, and they go ahead and they capture the conference crown. Kudos to Coach Mark Roaring and his staff in his first year with the Regals. They go and win a conference title. That's absolutely huge. And then speaking about conference titles, Marquette Catholic, they're your Tri-Rivers East Conference winners as they annihilate North Cedar last night, 16-0, 20-1. A heck of a way to capture the conference crown in dramatic fashion there. And then, of course, got to give love to Sigourney and their CICL Conference Championship for 2025. Absolutely stellar work out of them. And in the end, is it surprising? No, not at all. This is a team that we knew had bound for big things and bound for things beyond a conference title. So it's a stepping stone, a huge stepping stone, but in the end, it's a stepping stone for them to get further on down the line. So huge thing out of them, and congratulations. As we go forward, don't forget, merch drop is your way. I mean, it's a chance for you to get involved and in there. And if I can make sure, I'll make sure to bring it up here a little bit later. But the merch drop, which you can go ahead and find all across our social media pages, it is for shirts. That's right. They say IA Athletic Department, 15 different colors, $15 each. Get in there, get you some. A lot of great stuff there all across the social media scene you'll be able. Or hit us up at iabaseball1@gmail.com. Don't know why it's not up here, but I'll text it up here. iabaseball1@gmail.com. make sure to hit us up right there, and you'll be able to, we'll get you in contact with the link, or just hit us up on socials. We'll be able to direct you there as well. All right, so this is the part where before we get to performance of the week, man, I think there's something really cool here to think about. And I right now we are in 2025. We're going to have the 2025 3A and 4A state tournament held in Sioux City. Now, ever since that announcement came, it got me thinking. I got my head drumming and spinning here, and I thought about it. For so long we have had games somewhat centrally located, but as of late, 3A and 4A anyway, hasn't necessarily been that way. And, I know that not a lot of people have complained, but there's been some. And I mean, rightfully so. There hasn't been a lot of just straight complaining, some legitimate concerns. But in the end, there have been concerns over the state tournament going to Sioux City. And I say, not only is it amazing, not only is this a great idea, but I think it should happen again. Call me crazy. Yes, I know Sioux City's on the complete western side of the state. But Cedar Rapids isn't that far from the complete western side of the state, right? And of course, River Bandit Stadium was also thought about, and that's in Dubuque on the complete eastern side of the state. So I gotta I think a little bit here. And why don't we make it a rotating basis? Now, I know it's easier said than done. I got to say that a shout out to the Iowa High School Athletic Association, because going through this, not only is this a great idea, but a lot went into this, a lot. And Andy Umpton of the Iowa High School Athletic Association made it look super easy, and it was certainly not super easy. But what he found out was that it's most likely not going to be back in Des Moines at Principal Park anytime soon. The 3A 4A state tournament not going to be there. And right now there is a section a couple years slated off here in the next, I believe, 6 years for the state tournament to be in Cedar Rapids. But beyond that, I would beg more attention to be put on putting it back into Sioux City. Not making it just a one-off, put it back into Sioux City. Because what did we see last year? We saw last year Sioux City Bishop Heelan came all the way from Sioux City, and they end up going to the state final. They were one win shy of becoming state champions. But they had the longest drive out of anybody. It sure wasn't fair to them. And yes, I know that anybody from Dubuque, anybody from Cedar Rapids this year, it's not going to be necessarily fair for them. But for so long, there hasn't been a state tournament in Sioux City. In fact, never before has this happened. This is a historical moment that we should cherish, and that we should not only look at and put a pin in and come back to remember, but we should continue to add to it. Why not? Principal Park has been fantastic, but it's no longer there. Lewis and Clark Park is there right now. Of course, the Colonel Stadium is there in the future, but let's make Lewis and Clark Park back again. It's a great venue. This city has housed many collegiate championship events. So it's proven, Sioux City has proven that they can house the influx. They can handle it. And again, a phenomenal field there at Lewis and Clark Park. Why not make it happen again? It deserves it, because in the end, it gives more respect to the western side of the state. I think we should do that more. The central and eastern side of the states have been given their due respect and need to continue to get that respect. But I think there's been a little bit of lack thereof in terms of state tournament championships on that end of the state. I think we need to make it a rotational basis. I think we need to get it there, right? Continue to show love, and other venues across the state, I should say. Other venues, let's make it a rotational basis, and let's get more places more love and highlight more of what is great baseball in the state of Iowa. Sioux City has etched itself now as a baseball city. Let's continue to push that, and let's continue to make sure that into the future it remains that way in other places across the great state of Iowa. So again, let's make it happen. Iowa High School Athletic Association. After this round here in Cedar Rapids, let's get Sioux City and other venues more chances to host, as we will see a lot more from Sioux City in state tournaments going forward. So but again, what are your thoughts? Let me know, hit me up, and beyond. I also have a little bit here that I want to talk about on pitch count. And this is in terms of the state tournament. Hear me out with this one, guys. State tournament, let's go ahead and suspend all but one pitch count rule. Let's go ahead at the state tournament and change that. Now, I say all that because how many times do we get the pitching matchup of the century in the first game? And the state title game ends up being a bullpen game, right? We don't get it all the time. And yes, I get that in order to be a state title winning team, you got to have good depth. I get that. But as fans, that kind of brings more intrigue, more intention. You know, we had Jackson Wentworth and Watts going battling it out, Waukee Northwest in game 1 of the state tournament. Phenomenal, right? Also, we had plenty of other big names go right out of the gates in game 1. But then we don't get that kind of a pitching atmosphere in games 2 or 3, or especially if they make it to the title game. My suggestion is, why don't we suspend pitch count rules aside from one? You have to skip a day and then you can get back into it, because in the end, you don't go back to back too often. So why don't you go and say, hey, you can pitch a day after you have pitched in the state tournament only, right? Because then you get more of your aces, your ones, your twos going at it in the biggest games possible. You can set up that scenario. Will it always happen? No. You still have to win the first 2 games to get there, right? But in the end, it creates so much more hype, energy, and a heck of an atmosphere when you have your 1-2 aces ready to go for the state title game. I know it's crazy. In the end, we're all looking out for the players' health and safety, but I thought, man, if you give them a day rest and you get back out there on the mound, I think that could work. What are your thoughts? Tell me if I'm wrong, off base, all that. But for right now, let's get moving on with our performance of the week. And our performance of the week is always a doozy here, and it always has to come on the right side. But our performance of the week brought to you by Casmium Sports. They give us our stat lines all across the 2025 season. Heck of a company that can work for you in so many different ways. So check them out, CasmiumSports.com, as they power our performance of the week. All right, so now we roll right along, and our performance of the week, we're going to start off with a heck of a performance out here from Davenport Central. And Ben Cox, I got to say, you go against Davenport West, against any team, and put up 7 innings and do what you do. Just 1 hit allowed, 9 Ks. Obviously, Ben Cox, you are well deserving of this honor. Heck of a performance, man. You just don't get that very often, and you got to highlight when you do. Also, speaking of big performance, Lucas Jordan also had a heck of a big bomb. That's home run, everybody. He had a heck of a home run earlier this week as well, or past week, and we got the chance to see that. But his battle against Central Lee was epic, right? 7 innings, not a single earned run. Central Lee just bumped into the rankings as well. They had 15 wins entering this week, so you go out and you blank them, 8 strikeouts. That's validity, folks. Validity here for Lucas Jordan. Also, moving on here, we got Caleb Lefevre back in it again. His 3rd time in performance of the week as a candidate, and against Sergeant Bluff Luton, just dominating. Again, we've seen his bat rise, but again, we know that his pitching is still there. 6 2/3, 10 Ks, 1 hit. Phenomenal outing. And then, of course, Jackson Walter from the Raiders of Mount Ayr against Martindale St. Mary's. How do you do it against that team? I do not know, but he goes 6 innings, 6 hits allowed, 2 earned runs. He is definitely in the running as well. Plus, Bryce Pauly. Man, do we get a lot of great highlights out of the Indiana commit. And he goes seven hits in the doubleheader alone. 2 home runs, 9 runs driven in. Heck of a performance out of him. Absolutely love where he is headed. And again, we can't wait to see what's more out of him this season. And of course, going through, Cam Jorgensen. He didn't have just a good game. He had a series of great games. 6 hits throughout the week, 5 of them being home runs. He's a tank that just keeps on sending them out. He just like shoots them like a tank out of the ballpark. His bat speed is amazing. Hand speed is phenomenal. And in the end, all he did was hit extra bases this week. He also added in a double there as well. So, man, Cam Jorgensen, I'm on the Cam Jorgensen train for sure. I'm on the fan base train for him 100%. He is absolutely rocking it this year. And we'll give you a big note about what he did coming on up in just a bit. We move on with Xander Gutman out of Urbandale, 4 hits, including a triple, driving in 6. That's a stat line that's almost video game-esque. So huge job, congrats, and a heck of a performance. Also, Tatum Warner versus Hillcrest. We've seen what Hillcrest is capable of. Tatum Warner, Burlington Notre Dame's got a big arm in him. 8 innings, 10 Ks, just 1 earned run. Man, is that impressive. And beyond that, speaking about impressive, Cade Reese against Hudson. 5 innings pitched, 14 strikeouts. That is just 7 away from a perfect strikeout game. Again, only 21 outs to work with in high school ball. 14 of them coming from this guy right here. Cade absolutely dialed it in and helped them to grab the win. And of course, Aaron Krebs out of the Titans of Lewis Central against Kemper. Does what he does best. 7 innings, 2 hits, 14 Ks allowed on the season. Again, he is now well over that 4-win mark on the season for him, and he is excelling. And of course, Colton Bergen against Kennedy. Kennedy is still one of the tougher offenses in this game. And what does Bergen do? He goes 7 innings. 9 hits allowed, but that's a bend but not break mentality. Couple strikeouts gets the win there. A heck of a performance out of him. And also Mason Beacon against East Buchanan. Look at that. 11 strikeouts. Are you kidding me? East Buchanan is not one to go down quietly, but when you go the distance, it really tells you where North Lynn is at when you have a guy like this rocking it on the mound and at the plate. That he has now been nominated both as an offense and a pitching player of the week candidate. And of course, Kyle Chamberlain against Sioux City West. The North Stars have always been known for their pitching, and what does he do? He adds to that another 10-plus strikeout game for him. Again, yet another double-digit strikeout mark for Kyle Chamberlain, this time going 7 innings and just 1 hit allowed. And moving on, we got one of the more epic battles across the Prongi Classic. Spartans up against the Dragons, and Bo Collingwood, one of the first, I believe the first pitcher this year to go 7 full innings against the Dragons. And he does that, allowing just 2 hits, 8 strikeouts. That was perhaps what had sealed the deal for the number 1 team in 4A. And I gotta say, the Spartans just look unbeatable at this point. And then wrapping up our nominations here, Tyler Lindahl. We've seen what Davies, England, and more are capable of doing for the Toreadors, but look at this. 6 innings, 2 strikeouts, no hits, went the distance versus Carroll. In the end, a no-hitter is always tough to do. That number right there, that big 0, is one of the best zeros that Lindahl will ever have, because that is no hits allowed. And that does mark a turning point here, because Boone hasn't been known for its pitching all that much. But this year they started to turn the corner, Tyler Lindahl being a big part of that. And so now you're starting to see the Toreadors become that holistic team, and that's very dangerous for anybody else out there. And for right now, ladies and gentlemen, we got all the nominations in, so we're going to go ahead here and give our drum roll. The winner is Jackson Walter in his battle against Martindale St. Mary's. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs. A large part in the votes from you guys. Jackson Walter, our player/performer of the week, brought to you by Casmium Sports. All right, so again, congrats to, again, I'll bring him up here just one more time for you. Congrats to Jackson. Again, dude, congrats. You earned it. And again, thank you for sending in all your nominations. It was the longest nomination list that we have had so far this season. Keep it up. We want to see all these great performances. For right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get rolling with another segment here. It's called Amazing Scene This Week. And we get to see a huge blast by Lucas Jordan as we continue to put him as a household name in the state of Iowa. And then Tate Garman had an absolute massive hit for his first home run of the season. That's in clip number 2. And then in clip number 3, for reference here, ladies and gentlemen, there are state records where 3 home runs in a game. In the end, you have Tanner Jackson, one of the first 4A guys, at least this season, to have 3 home runs or more in a doubleheader battle. And we got the chance to see one of those big home runs as well. And then, of course, as I mentioned with Cam Jorgensen, I am fully on the bandwagon for Cam Jorgensen and Sadell. Why? Because last year I saw Jace Embry tie the school's home run record, and I did not think that we would get anyone to come and let alone match that, let alone hit go above that to create a new record. And Cam Jorgensen did just that. We're going to give you home run number 12 that helped vault the Sadell Eagles over MOC Floyd Valley in the Pronging Classic for a big top 10 win for Sadell. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into it. Our newest segment called Amazing Scene This Week. Enjoy.
Give that thunder home run, his second of the season, to number 25, Luke Jordan.
Tate Garman, touch 'em all.
And again, that was our amazing scene this week. Great videos from across the state. Make sure to get yours in. Hit us up at iabaseball1@gmail.com. Again, iabaseball1@gmail.com. Go ahead and hit us up there and wherever you can catch us. Again, I'll make sure to put that up there, iabaseball1@gmail.com. Again, plenty of chance to get in your not only performance of the week, but highlight videos. Also, hit us up on social media as well. Great chance to connect with us. And again, our broadcasts have been mainly broadcasts that have been suggested by you. Where do we go? Where should we go? And in fact, coming on up here, we're going to look to potentially be in Mount Vernon to see the Mustangs in West Delaware. We'll make sure to solidify that here coming up. But again, that is on the docket here as well. And again, a lot of fun to be had. So again, any other broadcast, any other games to go see, to broadcast, or just to be there, hit us up. We would love to be there. Any big storylines we want to highlight, hit us up, iabaseball1@gmail.com, or across our social media scene. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time where we get the chance to dive into a cool conversation. The number one rated recruit out of the 2028 class here in Iowa is Will Biggs out of Waukee. And we got the chance to talk with him about how he handles going to big-time perfect game events and handling the high school season as well. His dedication to Waukee and just his dedication to his craft. Getting into the outfield, not having many reps there, and he looks like he has done it for years. So let's dive into that conversation with Will Biggs, brought to you by the Log Cabin Greek Steakhouse in Galena, Illinois. Let's check it out. He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the line. You have got to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and welcome all back inside as we continue on with more High and Tight here. And I appreciate you, again, as always, giving your thoughts, comments more. Again, appreciate all your voting that you've been doing. And, of course, all the nominations for Performance or Player of the Week. So continue to get those in. Continue to get all that in for us so that, again, we can go ahead and nominate. Again, every show we go ahead and nominate Performance of the Week. And so it's your chance to get the nomination and the voting in. Again, this voting has just wrapped up, but as always, you can get next week's nominations in really right away. It can be a game, 2 games, 3 games. It can be the whole week. Doesn't matter. Get the performance stat line in, and we would love to highlight that right here on the show. As always, this show brought to you in part by the Log Cabin Greek Steakhouse. Check them out today. If you head on over and you get the chance, I urge it. Galena, Illinois is a beautiful place, but the Log Cabin Greek Steakhouse makes it even better. Phenomenal food, phenomenal atmosphere. They just do it right. Clean, simple, to the point. I mean, it's going to be great food, and you're going to absolutely love it. Get a reservation in today at the Log Cabin Greek Steakhouse online. And as we go through this, any stats and more has been brought to you by Casmium Sports, who helps to bring us our Performance of the Week and also our Player of the Game each and every broadcast. And all the stat lines you see across the 2025 season, Casmium Sports has you covered with that. Again, as we go through, there has been a lot, and I do mean a lot, of phenomenal players that have been gracing the stage here. It's always fun, always great to end up to be able to see what they're capable of doing. And for us, we have been able to catch up with a number of different guys, but there's one individual in particular who's just running the show and doing an absolute fantastic job. We got to see him at Principal Park personally, and he has just been on a tear. It's been phenomenal to watch the Waukee Warriors and what they've been doing here in 2025 after a state tournament 2024 season. And a big part of the machine that's keeping it moving, that's making it rocking here in 2025 for the Warriors is none other than Will Biggs. And he joins us here on the Insights.com hotline. And Will, thanks again for joining the show, man. I love the digs back there. Phenomenal setup.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I got a couple stuff from some events I've went to.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, one, it seems like you got a number of really good stuff. I love the bat up there. Take that really colorful pink blue bat. What is that about? Take me through that story real quick.
Well, yeah, that's at the Perfect Game Select Fest last year.
Yeah.
Since they got that new sponsor with Soldier Tank,
Uh huh.
everyone got uh the Soldier Tank, and then under that, everyone got a custom mine wood bat. So those are my two bats from
Nice.
there. Yeah,
Man, and that's something. And then, of course, the jersey rocks itself there, man. I love that behind. Love that it's framed.
thank
That's
you.
pretty darn cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty sick event, so I just had to put it up in my room.
No doubt. But hey, man, with that, you already are making waves here. You're the number one rated prospect here in the 2028 class in Iowa, according to Perfect Game PBR. You are leaps and bounds ahead of a lot, and according to PBR, ranked in the top 100. I got to ask. You have been to now several events here. Iowa, I want to get your take. Iowa has been, I think, overlooked and still gets a little bit overlooked when it comes to the talent here. You've got the national scene down now. You've been to all these again, these perfect game events, PBR events. What sense do you get from other states or other guys from other teams about where Iowa is right now? I mean, do they still scratch their heads and saying, "Really, you play ball in Iowa?"
Yeah, I mean, usually their questions are like, "How do you train in Iowa?" Like
Yeah,
they don't understand how I can train or like work out or anything, which is
yeah.
there's plenty of places to train, but and they don't even know where Iowa is. So usually all the guys I know are like from California, Texas, Florida, Georgia,
Yeah.
and then there's like me in Iowa, and I'm like miles from everyone else, and no one even knows where Iowa is. So yeah, it's a little weird.
So you're representing not only Iowa but kind of the Midwest here. You're rocking it, and again, kudos, great ambassador here for the state of Iowa. Absolutely, absolutely love it. But you again, not only have you seen the stage, you've been to several. Again, you talked about the event, which has put a lot of stuff on the back wall there. But how many events, just for others who are coming into your shoes, coming into their freshman or sophomore seasons, you know, how many events have you done up to this point, or like what's the ballpark of how many events you've done up to this point? I can only assume there's too many to count.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've been doing a lot of them since I was like 10,
Yeah. Oh
and
wow.
then as like I play for the Iowa Sticks, and since
Yeah.
I was like 14, they've really put me into a bunch of events with like older kids and like events that most kids my age haven't done yet, and they actually just really help you with progress and like seeing where you're at. So
Hmm.
they're really helpful actually.
Yeah, and I got to ask too. There's so much attention when it comes to baseball in Iowa, whether in going to these events, and attention put on Iowa baseball in the summer. And as you go through, the question being, I'll ask the question that they were asking with that too. What's training like for you? Take us through what would be kind of the, I guess, a year in. I guess what's your seasonal training schedule? I know that you don't just stop training once the season starts. I know in talking with others, you're just nose to the grindstone every second you can, which is why I'm thankful that we had a chance to talk to you here now. But what's training like for you once you get in season and out of season?
Well, out of season during the school year, I
Uh-huh.
usually once school's over, I go straight to Sportsplex West and hit a I lift and then I probably hit and maybe throw pretty
Yep.
much every day. So that's a good like routine I am in during the off season. And as it gets to in season, it's a lot harder to like stay like locked in because you're playing games and you're in
Yep.
waking up in the morning for team stuff and like we got team lists, but I try after we have like 8 a.m. BP. After that, I'll try to go to Sportsplex and lift again. And then after, sometimes I'll hit with my hitting guy too
Yeah.
to keep my swing locked in.
And man, that swing has gotten you a long way, man. Kudos to that
Thank you.
swing. How long has that taken you to kind of get down right now? I say that because you step into the box against Johnson when we saw you at Principal Park. You look comfortable with the swing, man. How would you rate where your swing is right now? How comfortable are you with that? And how long for those the little guys out there? I mean, how long is it? How long has it taken you to kind of get to where you are, to get that swing at this point near perfect?
Uh, well, I've always like hitting's always been what I've been best at my whole
Yeah.
life. So it honestly just comes kind of natural. And I have my hitting guy to like sometimes I'll lose it and like
Yep.
my problems I'll get on like my front leg and like basic stuff. So usually just like a couple times a week, making sure you're staying with your someone's coaching you, make sure because even like
Okay.
the pros, their swings are gonna get bad. But mainly it's a mental thing when you're hitting for me. Like my swing is usually always pretty good, but it's
Uh huh.
like if my mental's messed up, like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're not mentally locked in for every at bat.
Oh man, and that which can be hard, right? It can be challenging. Depends on the
Yeah.
day, I guess. But in the end, a swing is very wet, and I like how you bring up the mental side of it, man. Simply put, you see guys go down too much, and it's just a mental. It's just, you got to get over that. What is a monumental hump sometimes, but
Yeah.
got like you said, got to stay locked in mentally. But as you go through and train here, man, I know that just in talking with guys like Rob Allison from PBR, talking with Travis from Perfect Game, both of them have mentioned in particular that that you have been someone to study the details. And you were just talking about the little bit right there, just in that conversation alone. Has there been anything in particular that you have about your swing or about your game that you have tried to focus on more this season, coming into this season, or into the into the travel ball season here for you? What has there been
Yeah.
any couple things that you have focused in more on?
It's 100% mental because
Yeah.
my whole life I've always been a good hitter. And once I started, like, they did it on purpose. They had me playing up to prepare me for when I'm
Yep.
older. And I would have really bad, like, performance anxiety kind of. So,
Okay.
like, if I didn't, like, when I started to struggle off better pitching, it was really messing with my head. And it didn't matter, like, how good my swing was. Like, I wasn't good mentally, so it was not working out. And during like the spring, I really was talking to a lot of people about my mental,
Hmm.
and that's been something that's helped me a lot this season is like not letting it bother me too much and just to let things go and like be good mentally.
Which, gosh, it sounds simple, but the hardest thing to do. And
Yeah.
so, kudos for you to get to that point where you can not only manage it but excel at it. But and with that, on that side of things, on the as you flip the coin and talk about Waukee baseball right now, where it stands at the moment, you're sitting here. Waukee is having a stellar season. This coming off of a state tournament run. Um, what has this season been like for you, especially as you saw this team do great things last year, and they keep storming back. What has it been like to go on this ride where you got guys all up and down the lineup? We know DeJesus, we know Sorensen, we obviously knew you as well. This seems like a lineup that is just loaded full of household names.
Yeah. I mean, before the season, we knew we were gonna have a really, really good offensive team,
Yeah.
uh, and really good defensive team too. So, but we've just been working on making sure we can like not letting them like if we get behind, we gotta be able to come back and not give up because we
Yep.
started off really hot and we were blowing teams out, and then we started losing a little bit or like starting behind,
Yep.
and we started to lose it a little bit. So we're coming back and we're focusing on making sure we don't let ourselves down and we stay in the
Yep.
game and make sure we can hit the whole game and not just give up when we get behind.
Yeah, I mean, Hallmarks have a great team for sure, and of course, Coach Dirks is by above and beyond. I think one of the better coaches that the state has. What is it like under him? You know, I know that one the fact that you're coming on and breaking into a senior, uh, historically a senior heavy varsity squad, and you're sitting here
Yeah.
rocking it the way you are. But what has been the conversations like with Coach Dirks? I guess I should rephrase it. What is playing under him like here in 2025?
I've really liked it so far. I mean, I know I'm the first freshman to play varsity, I'm pretty sure under him, but it's been really good. He's really positive and like it's just like the team has a good connection and like
Yep.
and he's part of it too. Like it's not just the players, like us and the coaches, we all have a good connection and he's been really positive and yeah, it's been good. One of the better coaches I've had. Like it's
Yeah.
just comfortable. It's comfortable playing for him, not like you're freaking out all the time, which is good.
Yeah. Oh man. And again, relaxing too. And what do they say? You'll be relaxed at the plate, and obviously when the coach helps out with that, that is a huge stride there as well. I think when you see it, you know, he talks a lot about uh, just technique, analytics, all this times. It seems like he's just the overall holistic kind of a coach. And I know that he has often talked about fielding. You mentioned fielding yourself, fielding being a big piece of the puzzle. You know, making sure that you don't give outs away, anything like that. I gotta say, man, I saw you track down a ball in Principal Park all the way to the near fence to the warning track. I mean, that ball I think would have been dropped 9 times out of 9.5, but you end up coming through with that, and that's just some of the several things that we have seen from you in terms of your fielding ability. Uh, I gotta ask: is there a secret sauce, man? Is there something in the water that you're drinking there? Because you are absolutely exploding off there. What do you look for when you see the ball jump off the bat, or what do you look for in general? Because it seems as though you're already ahead of the play before it happens.
Well, I mean, I haven't been playing outfield for too long, so it's like something I'm pretty new to it, like a year or
Yeah.
two. So, I mean, I'm just getting, I mean, the more fly balls you see, the better you're gonna get. So it's
Yep.
just, I've been, and I also, like when I first started, I was like kind of, I didn't want the ball hit to me. I was like nervous to have the ball hit to me.
Uh
So
huh.
that's when you just make mistakes. So you just want to be prepared and you want the ball hit to you all the time. So you're prepared to make the play and you can get a good read instead of being nervous for the ball to be hit to you. You're going to make mistakes that way.
Yeah. Well, and gosh, sometimes that ball can jump off the bat. Seems like sometimes it can be difficult. You know, I know that they teach a lot. There's a lot of ways to teach when you take a look at seeing the ball off the bat. What are some of the first things you do? Kind of take through if there's another kid watching out here. Uh, What's the first thing you end up doing once you see that ball hit or see that ball airborne? What are the first things that go through in your mind?
Uh, well, one thing you got to make sure you do is you can't have a bad first read or a bad first step.
Uh
So if
huh.
I have a bad first step, it's going to be 10 times harder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're going in for your first step or two and the ball's going back, it's not gonna be good. So I'd probably just say make sure your first step's back pretty much all the time so
Okay.
you can adjust to most of them. Because like it's not easy to have a bad read and adjust to the ball. Like that happens to me sometimes, and that's when some ugly plays happen. So
Yeah. Hey, I hear, and again, we're all human, even though you make it look easier than it really is, regardless of what the position. But one of the things that not only with your fielding, obviously with your batting. It has gained attention. Like we said, you're up there in terms of perfect game rankings, PBR rankings, and recently, I believe June 10th or a couple weeks ago, anyway, you got the chance to head on over to a national showcase. Take us through what was that like? Because a lot of us look at this, and that's something that a lot of guys want to strive to. What was it like to get there? What was the event like in general?
Yeah, it's a really good event. They get all the best players in the country, so it's a really good,
Yeah,
like, event to see where you're at compared to other kids, and, like, some of the guys are throwing 98, and then some of the guys are throwing, like, 78, so there's a big difference sometimes,
yeah,
but it's good to go, and then you kinda see where you stack up compared to the best players in the country,
hmm,
and it either shows you you really need to work out or you need to work a lot harder to
yep,
get where the best players are, and if you're right up there, you need to make sure you're like, it will help your confidence, but you can't lose that, you gotta make sure you're still, like,
yeah.
at the top every year. It's good to keep going to them because you gotta make sure you're still stacking up to the top.
Well, and one of the things too, as we start to wind this down, I thought it was very interesting is you're managing to handle the high school season right now as it is. There's a lot going on, and then on top of that, what's it like going through? Going through. I know that you don't do a ton of events across the season. I know you're dedicated to the Waukee and what's going on here, but you get the chance to go. What's it like trying to juggle events like that and your high school season? I that's something that again I never had the talent enough to do. So this is truly a little curious for me. How do you handle doing both?
Well, I mean, before the season, I knew I was gonna do that, so I talked to my
Yep.
coach and told him I'd missed that event, and I missed a little bit more games than I thought I was, but, um, just making sure he knows that ahead of time, but I'm if I'm, if I said I was gonna play for Waukee, I gotta make sure I'm, like, staying with Waukee for the whole season and being
Yep.
loyal to them for the whole season. I can't just leave just because I want to. I agreed to play with them for the whole season and help them
Yeah.
win, so
Yeah. And gosh, love to hear that. Every coach in this entire state would love your dedication to it as well. Uh, And now, as we start to wind down here, I got to start getting into a little bit of the, I guess, more serious, actually not more serious questions. I got to ask here. Right now, as it stands, there's the debate going around, maybe a little bit older debate, but as we start to get more and more fields out there that have turf fields, seeds become less of a deal. And I want to bring up the gum versus seeds debate here with you. Oh, do you align with one or the other? Are you seeds guy, gum guy? Does it not matter for you? Where does Will Biggs rest in the seeds versus gum debate?
it's gotta be seeds. I mean, gum, I mean that's kind of a pretty easy one, I'd say. Seeds
Yeah,
have all the flavors, you know? Gum, you've got, like, 3 flavors, and it doesn't even last the whole game. And,
yeah,
like, if you're hungry, you're not gonna go eat some gum, you're gonna go eat some seeds.
right, right.
Yeah.
How crazy do you get with flavors? Because I've seen it all. I've seen from the ranch to the pickle, jalapeno. I've seen a lot. Do you get crazy with the seeds, or is there a set a seed type of brand, type of flavor that you stick with?
I'd say any pickle. I'm just a pickle seed guy, I'd
There
say.
you go. There you
Don't
go.
need to do much more than that.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, I'll just stick with pickle.
There you go. And when let's say that you get the chance here, it's an off day, you don't have to do high school ball, you don't do travel ball, you don't go anywhere. You get to go to a ball game yourself and just enjoy baseball as a spectator. Um, is there a certain type of ballpark food that you gravitate towards first?
Ballpark food? Uh, probably hot dog.
Probably hot dog.
I don't think I'd probably get any other food than a hot dog at a game.
There you go. Now, what with that? You know, I used to call myself the doctor because I doctor up my hot dog brat with all kinds of things. What's the extent that you go? Ketchup, mustard, other what goes on a Will Biggs hot dog?
Uh, I'd probably say ketchup, definitely mustard,
There you go.
and maybe if I'm feeling spicy, maybe relish and onion. But other than that, definitely ketchup and mustard.
There you go. The classics. The classics. Now, uh, I don't know if you remember it, but I don't know if they still do this. But I know last year, or last couple years, there was something called the cola flavored ketchup. The cola chup is what it's said. I think they named it that. It sounds more like something coming out than in for me, honestly. But do you go as far as to try cola flavored ketchup? I don't think you're. I think your face is saying no for me.
I don't even know. I don't even want to imagine what that tastes like, to be honest. I don't even know how that's a thing.
I
Sounds
I heard
fake.
it, and I'm so glad I haven't tried it yet. I don't know if I want to either.
I
I'm
don't
kind of an
either.
experimental guy here, Will. I've tried cricket on a stick in Seattle.
I've had crickets.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Nothing
So I
crazy.
wanted to ask you that too. Um, One, where did you catch? Where'd you get those at? And then again, what was your experience with eating crickets on a stick? Because for me, that was the most bizarre thing I've ever done.
I had crickets in sixth grade science class, and that's what we had. I had a cricket and then a cricket potato chip, and I didn't think it was too
Yeah.
bad. Not,
So
I don't need to try it again, but it wasn't awful.
there you go. There you go. So what I'm saying is you're a little bit experimentative when it comes to things, right? You'll
Yeah.
test the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah, there's not many foods I wouldn't eat, so
There you go. There you go. Well, perfect, man. Well, hey, the season's continuing to move forward. Obviously, a lot of wins in the rest of the season here for this team. We'll look to see how postseason shakes down here, where you're going to be headed. But man, a lot to like about what Waukee is doing right now, and you in particular. Again, you mentioned some of the stuff that you look for when you're batting, when you're fielding, and really appreciate giving us a lot of tips along the way here, man. So really excited. We can't wait to see you again, rocking it on another big stage here like Principal Park. And so, before you go, the aside from home field, Waukee is a phenomenal venue. Absolutely love it. And this can be outside of the high school season, travel season, whatnot. What's your favorite venue that you have ever played in? Not necessarily seen, but
mm,
as a player, what's your favorite place that you have played in?
favorite place would probably be either Cooperstown, like the
Ooh,
old Cooperstown, or JetBlue Park.
oh, JetBlue
Probably
Park.
one of those
Now
two.
that I hear is famous, but Cooperstown Park, man, that had to have been fun.
Yeah, really fun. Short
Oh,
porch too.
got a couple homers off, I assume.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah, 1, 2, skip a few, 10, right? That's how, in the end we go six,
Yeah,
4, 3 equals 2. So hey, it works.
yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, hey, appreciate it, man. I know that as we go forward, we'll see a lot more highlights from you. It doesn't matter where you are; it's a highlight reel at the plate in the field. Doesn't matter. So appreciate it. But thanks again for taking the
Thank you.
time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really fun.
Yeah, always. And hey, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get Will on here later. He's phenomenal, phenomenal. Make sure to check him out. He is ranked extremely high, both perfect game and PBR, and you can see why. Great mindset here. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll say sayonara. Thanks for tuning in, and until we see each other next time, stay safe on the base paths.